Alright, so I watched the anime recently called Isekai Shokudō, or Restaurant to Another World. I will not recommend this. There's next to nothing happening, and it's just a collection of short stories loosely tied together by an alternate dimension restaurant which every character visits. There's nothing awful about this, but it had nothing going for it either. What is it about? Restaurant to Another World, which it technically is. This place has doors appear all over the world, dimensions, what have you. These act like portals to this one place. So people could come from a basement in a coliseum, an uninhabited island, a fairy forest, and so on and so forth. No reason given as to why the doors appear, they just do. So about 70% of the time it's how did this particular person come across the door and who they are. The rest is them describing food like the viewers are blind, have no taste, have never eaten anything except water or rice. What did I like? Honestly, nothing. Great segment, I know. What did I dislike? The time it takes per episode. I don't usually feel like that, because usually it's the opposite problem, since there's too much to show and tell, so the series has to rush some things. So much anime suffers from not having enough time. Unless you're One Piece and it takes 20 episodes to talk things out before throwing a single punch, and then another 15 for a kick. Same problem here. People slowly walk, slowly talk, sit down, describe what they'd like to eat, wait for the food to come, eat it, explain what the food is like, meet someone else, the waitress or chef does something, they slowly say nothing again. That's an episode. Sounds absolutely gripping. The story felt like something that was done before, but with another take. A take which just falls completely flat. I watched an anime before that, which was about ramen a while ago, but I still remember it well. It's about this girl who just always eats ramen. What an incredible setup. Girls from her class ask her to hang out, and she says no, and goes to eat ramen. Then they stalk her and eat the same thing as her, describing the taste, ingredients, and everything in excruciating detail all the while. This felt exactly like that, only with more setup and a bit less detail, as well as some fantasy nonsense thrown in. Only problem is, that ramen thing was only like 10 minutes per episode. This one is 20 plus. It's legitimately too long for what it is. If I had to guess, it's like whoever wrote this worked in a restaurant, and they just loved cooking but hated the people. And I can totally understand that. Sometimes you put your heart and soul into the food, and people just devour it in seconds and move on. Or even worse, throw it away after eating a single bite. So the writer made this story about the opposite, the happy side of being a chef. Everyone loves the food, everyone wants more, everyone appreciates him, everyone is happy. And I don't see this being interesting. Problem is, this is like a slice of life anime. Only those usually got some cute girls doing cute things, which could also lead to some minor comedy. And they're likable. It's just amusing to see them do something silly. Here, here's a story of this one badass. They are badass, and they like great food. The end. Truly inspiring story. Also, occasionally girls in this anime are very, 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 very little. And also, pretty much every female character has boobs which are at least D size. And frequently are bigger than their heads. It's insane. Porn stars would be jealous of the tits in this. And for some reason, random naked or barely clothed shots. It's like the staff working on this was like, this is really boring. Let's show some naked anime of women. Because people who work on anime are frequently perverts, for whatever reason. I don't know how else to say this. I watched the entire thing, but it's like someone saw those shows about nothing, and I mean slice of life, not Seinfeld. So they saw those, and then they just went, I can do this, and just did their fantasy of working as a cook in a fantasy world. And it failed. Horribly boring. If it was about 10 minutes, I think it would be way better. If it didn't have pointless boobs in your face, it would be quite a bit better. If it had some humor, it would be way better. If there was more about the cooking itself, or how home cooking would differ from restaurant cooking, it would be way better. I could keep listing stuff, but a show is more than the sum of its parts. This sadly got very average, or worse than average parts. Nothing here is offensively bad, but I have nothing at all to praise here. So I do not recommend it. I'm kinda baffled it got a second season. I'm not touching that. There are plenty of more deserving titles, and it offends me how little this got, and yet it still got the funding.